When life gives you lemons, bring them to Chefanie to make you a light and fluffy spring dessert. We're making flourless Italian lemon cake today. And Chefanie, this is a classic recipe from southern Italy that you have altered. I remember when I was in Sicily, it was like I'd never tasted a lemon before until I tasted the fruit there, like an explosion of flavor. So tell us about what you've done to make this dish fresh for spring.
Okay, so today we are making Torta Caprese al limone because, I mean, you know, in Italian, everything just sounds like a little bit fancier. So essentially what it is a flourless lemon cake. Very simple. The traditional version uses dark chocolate with almond flour, which is very like rich, dense, fudgy. But I mean, we're moving into spring, so like let's lighten it up, and I'm gonna change it using white chocolate and lemon. And what's so great about this recipe is that in Italy, they actually serve this for brunch or on a breakfast spread, but it's light enough that you can have with afternoon tea, afternoon coffee, or for a really light spring summer dessert.
I can get behind any culture that does cake for breakfast. I'm here for this. Okay, now for this recipe, you're gonna need the following ingredients. And now let's get started, Chefanie. How do we start this one?
Okay, so first thing, we're going to line a 9-inch round springform pan. Make sure you grease that as well so it doesn't stick. Then using the trusty stand mixer, of course, if you have a hand mixer at home, you can do that as well. If you don't, you're gonna be whipping for a little while, so just an FYI. So I've already added 5 eggs and a 1/4 cup of coconut sugar, because you know I love my coconut sugar, but of course you can add white sugar, cane sugar, that's fine too. I've already pre-whipped it, so I'm gonna go in and add 1/3 cup of olive oil. That olive oil is gonna keep it really light and fluffy. And just a teaspoon of vanilla. And done. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with the dry ingredients. What's nice about this recipe, Tracy, is it's actually naturally gluten-free, so I'm not altering it at all, and which is why the original chocolate recipe, actually you'll find very common on a lot of menus in Toronto at Italian restaurants, because it's simple and it's also so foolproof for you to make this at home if you have somebody who can't have gluten or you just want something a little bit lighter. I want to make a special note here about adding icing sugar to this recipe. And when we talk about icing sugar with gluten-free baking, you might say, like, why is she adding so much icing sugar? I'm adding a cup, maybe that's a little bit too much. The reality is it's not gonna actually make this recipe very sweet. It's gonna lighten it up. If you're at home and you say, Chefanie, I'm not adding icing sugar, I'm not doing it, I refuse, all that's gonna happen is your cake's gonna be much more dense. That's fine, you know, it's completely up to you.
I would never say no to adding, by the way. What else did you put in there?
Okay, so we have white chocolate, grated white chocolate, and what I love about adding the grated white chocolate is it's literally going to melt into the cake, yielding a really moist texture. So we have potato starch, that's going to help keep it light as well, baking soda, baking powder, a little bit of salt, and of course, you need lemon zest. Okay, so I'm just whisking it together really quickly, and again, I'm not doing anything fancy here. I'm using a spatula, not even a whisk, so again, foolproof. Now we can pour it into our prepared pan, and then we're going to pop it into 350-degree oven for 45 to 50 minutes. It will feel very soft when it comes out of the oven, but that's completely normal.
Okay, so 45 to 50 minutes. So the cake is going to be baking, but there's still more recipe in front of us because we need to make some mascarpone, some cream. How do we do that?
Okay, so I don't know, Tracy, if you could tell, but I feel like in a lot of my recipes, I use mascarpone cream because it's just my favorite, and it's so rich, and when you pair it with a light dessert, it goes really well together. Super simple. You whisk mascarpone, heavy cream, a little vanilla, and good old icing sugar, and you're left with this super thick, rich, delicious, creamy mascarpone cream to go as a side along with this cake.
Yum.
Oops. Okay, now I'm actually going to slice up some for you so you can see kind of how we put it all together, and y'all can do it at home.
Nice. I know as you're serving that up, you're also adding some fresh fruit because why not? What are your favorites with this particular recipe?
So at this time of year, I mean, of course, we're moving into spring. I'm going to go ahead and add some fresh berries. So I'm doing blackberries today, blueberries, and as well some raspberries. However, if you like things a little bit sweeter, I would probably suggest adding a little bit of maple syrup or honey, tossing that in. or you can add jam. In Italy, that's also something that's very common. You'll see this served with jam. If you're going to do this maybe for breakfast, or putting it on like a brunch spread if you're having people over.
There's something about having your coffee in the morning with cake that makes your whole life better.
Everyone would eat breakfast if that was the case, you know, Tracy?
We would never skip it.
And there we have it.
Absolutely. It looks beautiful, Chefanie. Thank you so much for that. And I like that you got like really generous with the slice there. Oh, that's a good slice of cake. All right, you can find Chefanie's recipe up on our website, cityline.tv. It looks incredible.